Hello and welcome to my Ever Messy Art Studio. My name is Keeks, and today I thought that we would have some fun doing some pictures of some stingrays. So last week with my husband I went on a little date. And we went to the zoo together, and at the zoo we saw so many different animals, and the animals that I really wanted to draw were definitely the stingrays. I absolutely love them, and I thought that it would be really fun to paint and draw them and just kind of memorialize the date a little bit. So I hope that you enjoy, and maybe we can do some art together. So the first thing I want to do is just a little bit of an underpainting. As you can see, I have all of them drawn already. So I have 7 big stingrays and I have 7 little stingrays, which is really cute. So I thought it would be really fun to do, I've seen some artists do like a neon underpainting. So I wanted to try and do that because I'd really like these guys to be really rainbowy. So I'm just gonna add some splashes of color everywhere and see how it goes. So just gonna get my paints all nice and soupy. I'm using the Teo Tree watercolors. It's been a while since I've used them, so they're kind of dry up, but I mean, all watercolor is dry, but these are really dry. So I'm just gonna add slops of color and just kind of go from there. I'm not really caring where the color goes necessarily, like I'd like it to pull a little bit. I'm also going to be fighting the paper a little bit, I think, just because I am almost done with this sketchbook. I really only have like probably about 6 good spreads left. So there's that to think about too. Ooh, that yellow is not really going the way I want it to. Some of these have mixed a little bit, I can tell. But yeah. So I'm just gonna add us a bunch of colors here and go for it. And once this is completely filled, I will just let it dry. And then what I was thinking is I would take some Artix markers and paint them in. I think that'll look really cute. It's been a while since I've used these watercolors, which was another reason why I wanted to do this with them. I just thought, you know, it would be nice to get them out, and that way they have a little bit of playtime. Because I do really love watercoloring. It's just sometimes you don't have time for it because, you know, it has to dry a lot before you can do anything on top of it. And sometimes that just takes forever. Or at least it feels like it takes forever. So just getting some colors in there. Get some of this blue. Go all around. And if something gets a little covered up, that's okay. I can still kind of see it. And I can always re-go over it again with the colored pencil. If some of them get kind of lost, like that guy there. I think he's getting lost because of all the pink, and he is pink. But yeah. So I think this will be a good start for an underpainting. I am doing dry, wet on dry. This is Royal Talons paper, and while I do believe it could handle wet on wet, even though it'll probably leak a little bit, because this is at the end of the book, there's lots of pooling already. So I don't want to overdo it. So I think that's all I'm gonna do for the underpainting there. So we've got a bit of good going on. I'm just gonna, where these little spaces are white, I'm just kind of lightly rubbing over them a little bit so that they get some color in. But otherwise, I think that's pretty good. So I am going to just mop up some of this juicy water that's falling off of here. And then we'll let this dry and come back to it. All right, and we are back. This is now pretty dry. I do see a little bit of saturation issues right here with the paper, but I don't foresee it being an issue. It's just where the water pooled. And honestly, it gives it a little bit more texture. We only really lost one of them, but I still see him, so I'll be able to still color him, and that works out just fine for me. So what I was thinking is we would Roy G. Biv these guys, and I thought maybe that would look really cool. So let's see here. Now I gotta decide what colors I want them to be, because I definitely want like red stingray, a yellow stingray, an orange stingray, blue, you know, purple, green, all those great colors. So I think I'm just gonna go in order and just kind of play with them. I think I want darker ones on the wings and a lighter color up here. So we'll just kind of see how that goes. I think I am going to start with this guy right here and then kind of go from there. So what I'll do is I'll probably switch over to a voiceover at this point and then go from there. So as you can see, I'm using my Artex markers, which these are just acrylic paint markers. I really do like them. Most of my markers work pretty well. I've had them for a few months at least 2 months, maybe 3. And what I like about them is they're really smooth and easy to control. I've only had problems with one marker, which is a light purple, which the nib was a little messy on. But other than that, they seem really juicy and awesome. So I really like this. As I was saying before, I did want to do kind of like a rainbow pattern. So I was doing like Roy G. Biv, except I was kind of mix and matching where those pieces were, because I didn't want all hot colors together or warm colors, and I didn't want all cool colors together either. So I was trying to see how I could split them up using the little baby stingrays as well. Which, let me know in the comments below. Do you think those are baby stingrays, or do you think those are stingrays in the background? I'd be curious to know your take on it, because I feel like either answer is correct. Really, originally, they were meant to be in the background, but the more I got to doing them, the more I was like, these are babies and they're adorable. So if you agree with me, let me know. I'd be curious to see what you think about it. But yeah, so here I am adding some green in there and really trying to get those colors popping. So I used 2 of each color. That way I could put a little bit of texture in there, and I could, you know, get some shading in there to kind of play with it a little bit. I did put little eye marks in there, but those are not the actual eyes. In fact, later on, I actually add actual eyes with pencil. So that's just meant to be kind of like a shadow where like the skin, is it skin? would indent a little bit, and then that's where the eyes would be. So I just thought that it would be really cool to try and do this today. So there is a YouTuber, her name is Caroline Art, and she does videos here on YouTube. She did one with a bunch of manta rays, and they were going across 2 pages, and hers are wonderful, so I definitely recommend trying her out. But I would say between the zoo visit and her, that's what inspired me today. So the maintenance man came in, and what I'm doing is I'm actually going to change the color of this to more of a teal. I've decided that our indigo one is too close to blue. So if we do this, hopefully we'll get a little bit of a different color variation. I just wanted to see kind of what the overall piece would look like with the other color, but I don't think it's working. So I'm just gonna go over it. And that won't be that big of a deal. And I already think it looks a little bit better, because you can tell that this is a different quote-unquote species of this. Or I don't know, the different colory, different pattern, whatever you want to say about it. And then I'll go over the inside this one. Giving us something like that. See, now it's a different color, so they're not going to look the same anymore. This one will now look like the light blue, and that one will be the quote-unquote indigo one. I probably mentioned in the voiceover, but these eye holes are not actually the eyes, they're just the shadows for under the eyes. So yeah, this is going pretty well. Let's see here. Now we need purple. So I'm gonna go with this one and this one. Yeah, I think that suits the overall composition a lot better. Okay, so the next thing that we're gonna do is we're just going to use some colored pencils and add some details. So on this one, I'll probably add a fast forward on that too. Enjoy. Originally, I was gonna leave this part to be like kind of like an ASMR like I did with my last pause where you just heard the pencil moving and that was it. Unfortunately, I feel like this part is a little too long because it does take me a little bit even at 10 times speed to get around these little bits to add the details in. So hi, I'm here. So I decided that I would come on and start talking again just so that I could kind of walk you through what I'm doing. Now the pencils that I'm using are the Luminance by Caran d'Ache. I do only have one set of them, but I freaking love them. Like, as somebody who grew up with Prismacolors, I already feel like I was spoiled, but these are just creamy and wonderful. And I promise you, as soon as you get your hands on them, you just want to blend, blend, blend with them, which unfortunately, if you're going over paint like I am, you can't really get the best blends ever unless you push a little harder. But I think I did a pretty good job. And I think that these turned out really cute. For the orange and for the yellow ones, I had to get a little creative because for everybody else, I was using the same color but darker. But with these, I had to use orange and red to do the outlines with. Otherwise, it just didn't quite look right. So that's what you see going on there. I think my favorite of these is actually how the greens outlines went on because that green is just magnificent. Mwah, chef's kiss. That's what I like to see with my artwork, you know what I mean? But, you know, not to toot my own horn or anything, I just think that this was a really, really fun piece to work on. Like, if I could do it all over again, I would definitely just, you know, redo it and have a bunch of fun with it. Like, I'm really happy that I was inspired to do this today. I think lately I've just been feeling a little bit down about my art, wondering if I have a style, like if I'm any good. Some days I wonder if I can even draw. And I think that this really kind of put a bit of a pep in my step because I was like, hey, look at you. You can draw. You did all this from your own picture references that you took at the zoo. You had your own ideas with colors. You know, you tried out your own different things that you wanted to do. Like, I think all in all, like, I just don't see how I could have had a better art day, you know? And from coming around with so many days where it hasn't been great, this has been really nice, really positive. So hopefully you can feel that positivity radiating through your screen in all these colors. And I hope it inspires you too. Okay, so at this point, I think it's pretty much done. and I think it looks really great. Like, I love everything about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and sign it. And we'll call it good. Ooh, today is actually my dog's adoption day. She's turning 12. Gotta put a 6, not a 5. There we go. All right. Well, that concludes today's video, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you're new here, welcome. Hello, I'm happy to have you. If you're somebody returning or a subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. I'd really appreciate it if you could like, subscribe, or share my video, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys. Bye.